Have you ever dreamed of leaving the Earth behind and traveling to a distant galaxy? Worlds teeming with alien life, vast interstellar societies and advanced technology? Journey through the endless dark, explore hazardous worlds, impact interstellar politics, and carve out your place within the cold stars of the Eradonis galaxy. Hey everyone, I'm Brevon Harrison, co-founder of Midwest Mancers and co-creator of Within Cold Stars, the tabletop role-playing game. I've been a massive fan of RPGs for most of my life. I've played basically every major RPG video game and a lot of tabletop RPGs. I used to have a YouTube channel. It was very small, called Liberosity, where I talked about game design. My passion for tabletop RPGs really comes from wanting to give people the tools to come together and make stories. Through systems, mechanics, and off-the-cuff improvisation, I just want to bring people together and spark their creativity. There's this beautiful chain reaction to making a tabletop RPG where I put out a game and then it can become something greater through people doing whatever they want with it. Midwest Mancers, we're an indie TTRPG developer, and Within Cold Stars is the first game we've made. Currently, it's just me and my business partner and co-founder, Nathaniel Moore. We're writers and game designers, first and foremost. So most of our art currently comes from volunteers or websites that sell assets. We first released Within Cold Stars in early access in 2025, with a lot of placeholder art, a lot of rough formatting, and a bunch of editing needed. So earlier this year, 2026, we released the full version, and it's one that we're a lot more proud of. You can think of Within Cold Stars as something like a combination of Fallout, Mass Effect, and Cyberpunk 2020. You'll journey through the distant galaxy of Eradonis, full of aliens and interstellar societies. Our classless role-playing system, combined with a detailed setting and factions, are built to allow you to play out tons of pulpy sci-fi adventures in a universe that's very grounded and has mostly hard sci-fi. The game isn't post-apocalyptic, but its tone and role-playing systems are similar to Fallout. The juxtaposition of a setting grounded in theoretical science and realistic consequences versus pulpy characters and adventures is at the heart of Within Cold Stars' tone. A good example is our alien species. They may seem like something out of Star Wars, but we've given detailed explanations of how they evolved to be that way and how their environment formed their species. Faster than light travel is probably the least scientifically grounded thing in our universe. It just kind of has to be. Or the whole game sort of has to revolve around that, and that isn't what we want to do with this game. So hyperlanes connect star systems and allow FTL travel throughout the galaxy, bending time and space to shorten the distance between star systems. Many large interstellar societies exist, slowly claiming the frontiers of space. Our guns are a good mix of classic ballistic weaponry as well as energy weapons, with energy weapons being on the higher, more expensive end of technology, used by the largest and most wealthy factions. And classic lead slingers are most often used by the poorer, smaller, frontier factions. In addition to these, we have an extensive list of melee weapons. We've got knives, hammers, swords, even different styles of martial arts you can use, exosuits, and even things like electrifying gauntlets or biologically engineered melee weapons. Physical armor, as well as hard-light shields, are also used for defense, both for personnel and starships. And a diverse collection of technology can be wielded to further augment your abilities, like jetpacks, grappling hooks, and deployable cover, just to name a few. Eradonis is full of unique equipment to find and use throughout your journeys. All of our 10 playable species are quite humanoid and are people, but Within Cold Stars takes place in a distant galaxy where humans have never set foot. The idea actually originally came from me being annoyed that sci-fi like Star Wars and Dune they're set in these distant, far-off galaxies, but they're still like 75% human. That just always kind of annoyed me. So I'm like, we're gonna set in a different galaxy. We're not gonna have any humans. And it's been interesting. There's been a lot of challenges with that, but I think that we've overcome a lot of those challenges. Where a lot of these species and these societies are very familiar, but they have our own intergalactic twist on them. The Adrazoid are a reptilian species who emit omnipheromones that work on nearly all other species, not for attracting, but for convincing. If an Adrazoid walks into your restaurant, you're more likely to give him a little bit extra or a little bit extra care just because something about him just makes you like him. And it's actually these omnipheromones, whether you know it or not. So they often take the roles of businessmen and entertainers or politicians because of this. Although, many are just regular people who don't really care about this natural ability. The Arieks are slug-like humanoids who communicate with each other via this informational mucus. It allows them to transmit thoughts and memories via touch with another Arieks. They find verbal communication to be almost useless. It doesn't allow you to convey all that much information, and there's so much room for misunderstanding. Their entire home planet has this mucus integrated into their ecosystem through their weather manipulation technologies. And because of their increased understanding and communication, they live very communally. Arieks who are alone for a very long time can sort of start to go mad because of how they live naturally. The Luxite are tall, thin-boned humanoids with shiny, silvery skin, like mercury's flowing underneath it. They're extremely intelligent, and they're the inventors of hardlight technology. They use it for everything, from buildings to cars to clothing. The Okot are a species where females are large and brutish, think something similar to an orc. But the males are around 1 foot long worms. The idea was actually based off of the anglerfish, which has a very similar thing, although the anglerfish obviously isn't humanoid. The male Okot are actually also, while being foot-long worms, they're also intelligent. And at this point in Eradonis, they use robotic suits to interact with the world and to communicate. The Gurn are a species that have the power to produce enzymes naturally and manipulate DNA naturally. Not just of them, but of other species too. This causes them to be one of the most varied and elusive species in the galaxy. Because they can manipulate their own DNA, they can turn into whatever, you have no idea what they're going to look like. This is just a taste of all the species that we have in our all-in-one rulebook, and all of them have still have the same unique flavor. We really wanted to make sure that it wasn't just humans with some shit on their face. Now, Within Cold Stars is in a universe without magic or psionic abilities. This is science fiction, not science fantasy. Some of the most advanced technology in the galaxy is a bit fantastical, but it can all be explained by science. In-universe science, which is somewhat, as much as we could without ruining certain things, based off of theoretical science. We would start with a theoretical science idea and then try to build some crazy shit off of that. Within Cold Stars, it uses a D20 system with 6 stats, very similar to something like 5e, but those similarities quickly go away as you understand some of the additional things we have on top of that. Of course, you'll be performing stat checks and skill checks versus a difficulty rating table the GM has to see if you succeed or fail. You may also do contests against other characters. Say you were going to arm wrestle a guy, you're going to roll d20s, and then you're going to add your strength to each one of those. And then whoever gets higher, that's going to determine your winner. Then combat is where things really start to get different, and it is one of the core features of our game. We have a limb-based health system and high lethality. Our combat is this makes our combat similar to Cyberpunk 2020, but streamlined in ways very different than Cyberpunk Red did. And we like it a lot. I hope people will enjoy it. I hope it's a lot of fun. It's lethal, but it still feels fair. As far as space combat goes, currently we have only 4 classes of ships. Apparently, I don't know how to count. 4 classes of ships, with a hope to expand our space combat in the future. Right now we have personal craft, fighters, freighters, and frigates. Space combat either involves multiple characters piloting a frigate or freighter, and or a few characters flying their own fighters and personal craft around. One character may be a pilot on the freighter or the frigate, another may man the weapons, another may run around the ship fixing anything that goes wrong or supercharging systems. First, you'll need to take down a ship's shields. Then, each ship has hull, systems, and thrusters, which can be targeted individually to disable a ship in different ways. Ground combat works in a similar way with our limb health system. Different limbs can be targeted to apply injuries that will give specific debuffs. Want to mess with your enemy's aim? Shoot him in the arms. Want to slow down a melee threat? Shoot him in the legs. Now, those same things can happen to you, of course. Tactical movement and positioning are key to survival, as well as using your environment to your advantage. While Within Cold Stars is a classless game, you may still want to build your characters to fill roles within the party. Knowing the combat roles of each member of your party can be the difference between life and death in a tense firefight. Whether you're supporting, tanking, dealing damage, or any combination of these things, you'll want to know the role that you're fulfilling in your party. We have a plethora of combat skills to utilize, and even skills that are usually non-combat focused, like speech and navigation, or science, can give you benefits and abilities to use, like distracting your enemies, finding good spots, or analyzing weaknesses your opponents may have. Unlike many TTRPGs, in Within Cold Stars, damage is a flat stat for all weapons. Armor acts as additional health that goes over your regular health, and it can also have resistance to damage types, which is going to half the amount of damage you take from that type. So if my armor has 10 durability and physical resistance, and then I get shot with a pistol that deals 20 physical damage, that physical resistance is going to bring that 20 damage down to 10, but then, of course, I said my armor has only 10 durability, so when I do get shot by that pistol, it's going to destroy my armor. If I get shot in the arm, my armor is just destroyed. That pistol shot right through it. And now, if I get shot in that arm again, then it's going directly into the arm. It's hitting right into the flesh, and 20 damage is going to cause me to take an injury on my arms. That's going to give me disadvantage on any actions that are using my arms. So all of my attacks are now at disadvantage. That's rough, but it also allows us to tell a story with damage and where you take it and how you take it, both for you and your enemies. Get shot enough times in your arms, go past an injury, that arm's going to get amputated. It's coming off. It's flying off. There's blood everywhere. And now you're bleeding out. You're going to need to stabilize that injury, or more likely your partner in your party is going to stabilize it. And then, you're missing an arm. That's a permanent problem that your character now has. Except, we also have cybernetics. So you could get that arm replaced with a robotic arm. We also have genetic mutations, so you could get mutated to just grow a new arm. It could be better than the last one. Same thing with the cybernetic one. So All that being said, you can also repair your armor using your tech skill and the proper equipment. You also may have the hard light shields I spoke of, and you can recharge those with power packs, charge packs. And of course you can patch yourself up with first aid kits or visit doctors. Now, unlike some RPGs, sleeping within Cold Stars isn't going to magically heal your bullet wounds. No, you need to go visit a doctor or have somebody in your party use a first aid kit if you want to heal those things up. Because of our multiple limb systems and how much tracking that can end up being, we have streamlined it in ways that should make it a little bit easier. Both arms, both legs are one health bar. But because of that, we do recommend that you limit fights to only a handful of characters or ships at a time, especially for GMs. That's going to keep you, that's going to streamline things a little bit. That's going to allow you to track everything a little bit easier. And we've tried to make it to where each character is important enough that that still feels good. In addition to stats, skills, and equipment, there are other ways to augment your character. Traits offer benefits and drawbacks to make your character stand out and provide a touch of realism. Perks can give you more abilities and ways to interact in combat, exploration, and role-playing. And in the Eradonis galaxy, like I've said, cybernetics and mutations are quite common, especially amongst the rich. They also go very well with that limb health system. Like I said, if you lose your leg, you can replace it with a cyber leg or be mutated to grow a new one. Robotic limbs, implanted shield generator, hidden compartment, micro repair bots that can heal you, subdermal plating to offer armor, and even a neural lattice to increase brain power are just some of the cybernetics you could find. Through mutation, you can grow limbs, yes, but you can also put bioengineered weapons into you. Most of your core stats can be increased through things like brain, muscle, or eye enhancements. Cartilage scales can give you resistance to blunt force trauma. You can even modify your sense of smell to be able to track things like a bloodhound. Great for a bounty hunter build. And within Cold Stars, you take the role of space adventurers. This can be many different things, and we have a set of backgrounds to give you more specific ideas on what you might be in this galaxy, and to further cement your role in the party and how you might want to build your character. Some of these backgrounds include the bounty hunter, the explorer, the influencer, which could be anything from a politician to a celebrity. We have the soldier, the pilgrim, the scholar, lots of backgrounds with different detailed histories to build out. And in building that history, each of these backgrounds also has these tables you can roll on to determine more details and goals your character will have. In a lot of ways, Within Cold Stars is a bit of a sci-fi kitchen sink TTRPG that wants to give you a wide array of possibilities to do basically whatever you want in this galaxy. You're space adventurers, but like I said, that can be many, many different things. Factions are another thing you're going to choose, likely with your background. Although things can change throughout the gameplay, because factions are core to the experience of Within Cold Stars. With tons of detailed factions you can gain or lose reputation with. The galaxy is built around these factions, and it reacts through them. The Hegemony is the largest and most civilized faction in the galaxy, at least according to them. The Inner Hedge is a socialist utopia built on the exploitation of its frontier territories, which it's constantly trying to get more of. It's made up of many parts. One of those parts is the Symposia Moncara, the largest college system in the galaxy, and one of the most important groups when it comes to research and development within the Hegemony. You can join them, you can earn degrees by making scientific discoveries and using your skills. The Hegemony also has intelligence agencies like the Pantheon Justice Department, and you can be an agent for them. keeping the faction's secrets or stealing secrets of other groups. And in a party, an agent and a scientist may both be from the hegemony, different branches, and then throughout the campaign they may need to work together to support the hegemony and help its goals. Probably our most evil faction is the Marlax Slavers. Yeah, you could tell why they're one of the most evil factions. They're a vast empire, not vast compared to the hegemony, but vast in its own right, who work with these small riser gangs that's basically raiders. They're bloodthirsty slavers throughout the galaxy. They work with all these different riser gangs to collect slaves, and they have control of lots of planets, and they use these slaves to mine for resources. Nearly every other faction doesn't like them. And they sort of sit in their own little corner of the galaxy, raiding different frontier factions and even into the hegemony territories. The Azure Corporation is a massive interstellar corporatocracy which sees profits as sacred and has a zealous approach to continuous improvement. They have an accounting department of accountant monks that operate with religious rituals for this accounting and determining the value of the many different subsidiaries that are within the Azure Corporation. The Mob Hurrah is one of my favorite factions. I wrote them, so that probably has something to do with it. I'm a little biased. But they're this massive religious organization that sees AI as the greatest threat to organic life. They control the regulations on robotics amongst interstellar law. So this is the hegemony, Azure Corp. They all have sort of agreed to let the Mob Hurrah regulate robotics and advanced computers and anything relating to artificial intelligence throughout the galaxy. They're not completely against any sort of, even the most simplest of AI, but they regulate who's allowed to get what levels of AI. And there are certainly levels of AI that they're like, no, we can't have this. This is a threat to biological life as we know it. And when they find something like that, they will launch a crusade. They will purge the entire area of anything robotic and anyone who might want to work with those robots, to serve those robots. Another faction we have is Janus. I enjoy them a lot. They're like this hacker organization, sort of like anonymous type. And they look to steal data and blackmail powerful people, often working with other criminal organizations. But you're going to see a very gray morality with them, where some of them, they're attacking corrupt politicians, they're attacking people doing messed up things, but others, they're just in it for the money. They're just in it or the thrill of the game, But Within Cold Stars has many factions. This is just a taste. These are just a few of our factions. And they, like I said, they're core to the experience of Within Cold Stars. And we really we put a lot of effort in to make that happen and make the interactions with those factions interesting.